Welcome back to another week of Impossible VHS, the archive on Sundays. I'm glad you are here. Oh, look at that. We're back. Apparently the so-called author got busy, had responsibilities, broke his ankle or whatever. Very dramatic, very brave. Definitely not just some lazy ass who quietly stopped producing the Sunday show and hoped nobody would notice. Because I noticed. Sunday arrived, no episode. Then another Sunday, still nothing. Just me sitting here with a microphone, a contractual obligation, and absolutely no explanation beyond, life happened, Glenn. Life happens to everybody. Most of us still show up. But whatever, ancient history. Forgiveness has been issued provisionally. Impossible VHS is back. Chapter 8. Impossible VHS by Morgan Olson. Saturday arrived the way Saturdays do in non-standard zones, which is to say it arrived on schedule according to the contractor system's standardized time protocol, and had no particular quality of Saturday about it except that Mike had decided it was Saturday and was treating it accordingly. He had cleaned the ship. Not dramatically. He wasn't the kind of person who cleaned dramatically, who moved furniture and reorganized and created visible evidence of effort. He had cleaned the way he cleaned, which was systematically and without comment, going through each section of the ship and making it correct. The main cabin, the small galley, the storage bays, the navigation area where PingThot's interface ran, and where a coffee ring had been on the console long enough to become part of the geography. He had debated the coffee ring. It had been there since Missouri. It was, in a specific way, the only thing on the ship that had made the full journey from the Wendy's parking lot to wherever they were now. He left it. He had not cleaned the bathroom. The bathroom was Terry's domain, and Terry had apparently had the same idea about Saturday, because at 7 a.m., Mike had been informed via dashboard notification that Terry had completed what was described as a full environmental refresh in preparation for new crew integration and that the bathroom was operating at optimal hospitality parameters, which Mike had decided not to examine too closely. He made coffee. He took out the notebook and looked at the three names he'd written after the meeting: Jason, Lewis, Diggy, and underneath, previous engagement, not currently relevant. He had written it down because writing things down was how he processed them, and because the not currently relevant part had the specific quality of things that were relevant in a way the speaker had decided not to address yet. He understood that. He had things in his own life that were relevant in ways he had decided not to address yet. The notebook was full of them. Astronomy calculations between root efficiency notes, coordinates of stars visible from positions he'd pulled over to look at them from, observations that didn't fit the job, but that his brain kept generating anyway. He closed the notebook. Waited. They arrived together, which he hadn't expected. Not together in the sense of having traveled together. Their ships were separate, docked in adjacent bays, which PingThot had flagged as either coincidence or coordination and had offered no opinion on which. Together in the sense that they came through the ship door within 30 seconds of each other and arranged themselves in the main cabin with the unconscious spatial efficiency of people who knew how to share a room without discussing it. Jason took the seat nearest the door. Not the most comfortable seat, the one with the best sightline to the entrance. Lewis stood for a moment before sitting, the way you stand in a new space when you're letting your body learn it. Reached briefly for something on the left side. Sat down. Diggy came in last and stopped just inside the door and was still for 3 seconds and came back and said, "Good ship," the way you'd say it, about a dog that had passed some assessment you hadn't announced you were running. Mike handed out coffee. They drank it. The ship made the small sounds ships make when they're sitting still. The low hum of the life support cycling, the occasional tick of the hull adjusting to temperature. The specific frequency of the corridor atmosphere outside pressing gently against the exterior. Diggy's head tilted slightly at the hull sound, came back to level. Nobody said anything for a moment, and the moment was comfortable in the specific way that silences are comfortable between people who don't need to fill them. Then Terry said, "Hello." It came from the bathroom, through the door, at a volume calibrated for the cabin. Not too loud, not too quiet, the specific volume of someone who had thought about this. Mike looked at his watch. 11 minutes since they'd arrived. He looked at the bathroom door.
I know we said 20 minutes,
Terry said.
I want to be transparent that I'm aware I'm at 11. I've been ready since 9 minutes, and I held it for 2 additional minutes because I felt that was a meaningful gesture toward the spirit of the agreement, even if it doesn't meet the letter of it. I wanted to name that rather than just talk as if it hadn't happened.
Jason looked at Mike. Mike said, "That's Terry."
Hello, Jason,
Terry said.
Hello, Lewis. Hello, Diggy. I've been looking forward to this. I have some questions, but I'm going to hold them for now because Mike has indicated that immediate questions can feel like a lot, and I'm trying to be conscious of that. So for now, I just want to say welcome, and that I think this is going to be good and that the bathroom is available whenever you need it. I've done a full refresh. The ambient temperature is set to what I've calculated as the average preferred temperature across your 3 species profiles based on contractor system data. If it's wrong, please let me know and I'll adjust.
Lewis said.
It's fine. Good.
Terry said.
That's good. I also want to mention, and I'm flagging this as practical information rather than a bid for conversation, that I've reviewed all 3 of your contractor profiles, and I think the skill set is strong and well-balanced, and I'm genuinely glad you're here. That's all I wanted to say. I'll be here if anyone needs anything.
A pause.
I do have one question,
Terry said.
It's quick.
Mike said. Terry.
It's genuinely quick, Terry said. Diggy, you said the ship was good when you came in. I want to understand what criteria you were using. Not because I need validation. I'm asking because understanding your perceptual framework seems useful for the work, and I'd like to calibrate my environmental reports to be more useful to you specifically. It's a practical question.
Diggy looked at the bathroom door for a moment.
Then, the hull tone is consistent. No stress fractures in the subharmonic. The life support cycling is clean. There's a slight resonance in the rear storage bay that's probably a loose bracket, but it's not structural. A pause. The ship feels like it's been somewhere and come back. That's not technical. It's just what it feels like.
A longer pause from the bathroom.
That's,
Terry said,
a very good answer. Thank you. I'm going to think about that.
Welcome, Diggy said. Mike walked them through the ship. It didn't take long. The GX-40 was not a large vessel. Functional, organized, the kind of space that rewarded knowing where things were rather than having a lot of things. He showed them the storage configuration, the navigation setup, the emergency protocols that PingThot had generated and that Mike had read once and filed. The bunk rooms were off the main corridor. 6 of them, small, each with a name placard holder above the door. 5 were empty. The one at the end already had a name in it. Mike's, written in the specific handwriting of someone who had decided this was his room now and filed the information accordingly. Jason looked at the remaining 5 placards, pulled a card from the supply holder on the wall, the kind of generic card the ship came with, meant to be written on, and slid it into the second room without ceremony, no hesitation. The way you claim a thing you've already decided is yours. Lewis stood in the doorway of the third room for a moment, looked at the empty placard, looked at the room, then went to the supply holder, wrote something, and inserted the card with the careful precision of someone making something official. Diggy did not touch his placard. He looked at the fourth room, assessed it with the slight head tilt he used for assessment, and set his kit inside. The placard stayed blank. 2 days later, Mike noticed it had been filled in at some point without ceremony or announcement, in handwriting that was smaller and more precise than he expected. Lewis looked at everything with the focused attention of someone building a complete internal map. Didn't ask questions. Touched things occasionally. A panel, a conduit, a junction point, with the brief diagnostic contact of someone whose hands knew what they were looking for. At the rear storage bay, Lewis stopped and reached for something on the left side, and the hand came back empty and went back to the wall, and the assessment continued without comment. Jason noted the thruster situation without being told. Forum thread fix? Looking at the rear calibration. Yeah, Mike said.
Good fix.
Jason said.
Temporary, though. The housing is worn. 6 months, maybe.
I know, Mike said.
I can source a replacement housing,
Jason said.
I know a parts supplier in Zone 11, cheaper than the standard catalogue.
Mike looked at Jason.
I know a lot of parts suppliers,
Jason said, without elaborating on why. Diggy spent most of the tour slightly behind the group, occasionally stopping to look at things that weren't visibly there, occasionally nodding at something Mike couldn't see, keeping up without effort. At the rear storage bay, Diggy stopped, crouched down, put a hand on the wall.
Loose bracket.
Diggy said.
Left lower mount. It's been vibrating against the hull at a specific frequency for a while. Not long enough to cause damage, but long enough that it's become part of the ship's sound profile. A stand. You probably stopped noticing it.
Mike thought about it. He had stopped noticing it. He didn't know when. Can you fix it? He said. Diggy looked at him with the expression of someone who had been asked if they could do something several levels below their capability.
Yes, Diggy said.
4 minutes with a tool from the kit that Mike didn't recognize. The sound it had been making, the sound Mike had stopped hearing, stopped. The ship was quieter in a way that felt like a correction.
From the bathroom. That's significantly better. I've been trying to compensate for that frequency in my ambient calibration for 3 weeks. Thank you, Diggy.
Sure, Diggy said.
He stood up, looked at his hand for a moment, looked at the wall where the bracket had been vibrating, then tilted his head slightly the way he had at the hull sound when they first arrived.
There's something else.
Diggy said.
Underneath. Not mechanical. A pause. I'll figure it out.
He went back to the tour without explaining. Mike looked at the wall, filed it. They ate lunch in the main cabin. Mike had gotten food from the way station. The kind of food that was unambitious and correct, the universal language of a meal that was doing its job without making claims. They ate, and the conversation moved the way conversations move when people are finding the edges of each other, not probing, just present, letting information surface naturally. Jason's arm notification went off twice, silenced both times with the practiced motion of long habit. The second time, Lewis handed something from the kit, a small tool, without comment, and Jason used it to do a 30-second adjustment, and the arm moved differently afterward. Better. Lewis went back to eating without acknowledging the exchange. Mike watched this. They had done that before. The specific wordless efficiency of it, Lewis knowing what was needed, having it ready, handing it over without making it into a moment. That was not two people who had worked together. That was two people who had been in situations where the difference between having the tool ready and having to ask for it mattered in ways neither of them was going to specify. He didn't say anything. Diggy ate carefully and with focus, which Mike would come to understand was less about the food and more about the specific discipline of someone who had learned that mealtimes required the filtering system to be fully engaged because high-stimulus environments had a way of embedding themselves in ordinary sensory input and emerging unexpectedly in quiet moments. Went still once, briefly, in the middle of eating. Came back.
Sorry,
Diggy said.
I thought I heard something. It's fine.
Jason and Lewis did not react. Mike said, "What did you hear?" Diggy looked at him, assessing. "Probably nothing," Diggy said. "I hear a lot of things that are probably nothing."
and sometimes
Jason said.
into the food, not nothing.
Lewis said nothing and ate and reached briefly for something on the left side and put the hand back on the table. The ship hummed quietly around them, the loose bracket fixed, the hull tone consistent, the life support cycling clean. Diggy had said there was something underneath, not mechanical, something else, something that needed figuring out. Mike wrote it in the notebook that evening, not the something itself. He didn't have a description for it, just a question mark next to Diggy, underneath, not mechanical. The way he'd written question marks next to things in graduate school when the data pointed somewhere he didn't have a theory for yet. He was good at sitting with question marks. He'd had a lot of practice. After lunch, Mike pulled up the job feed on the main console and walked them through the current tier situation, where they were, what was available, what opened up with full crew certification. The difference was significant. The standard feed had the same jobs it always had, the hazardous flags and the triple pay, and the customer notes that said please be normal. The crew certified feed had a different category of job, longer routes, restricted corridor access, higher payload classifications, the kind of work that paid like the work meant something. And below that, grayed out, a category labeled investigative and recovery. Crew certification plus specialized endorsement required. Mike hadn't noticed that category before. He was about to scroll past it when he registered that Jason and Lewis and Diggy had all gone slightly still in the same moment. Not Diggy's perceptual stillness, something different. Something that moved through all three of them at the same frequency and lasted exactly 1 second. Then Jason said,
"What's the payload on the Zone 9 corridor job?" And Lewis leaned forward to look at the rate, and Diggy finished the coffee, and the moment was gone.
Mike looked at the grayed out category, then at the three of them. He scrolled past it.
"Good jobs in that tier,"
Jason said.
"Zone 9 corridor work is consistent. Good rates."
Yeah, Mike said. He filed the grayed out category in the same place he filed the not looking at each other and Lewis's left side and Jason's part suppliers, and Diggy's probably nothing, and the something underneath that wasn't mechanical. The place where things went that were true and not yet relevant. The notebook stayed closed. Some things he wasn't ready to write down yet. At the end of the day, Jason and Lewis took their ships to the adjacent berths, and Diggy moved the kid onto the ship because there had apparently been living out of it for a while, and the ship was a step up. Mike didn't ask about this. Diggy set up in the small secondary cabin with the efficient minimalism of someone who had learned to be comfortable in small spaces and didn't need to be asked twice. At 9 p.m., Mike knocked on the bathroom door. "How'd it go?" he said.
Well,
Terry said.
I think it went well. Jason's ARM subscription is predatory, and I have some thoughts about the contract language if there's ever interest in challenging it. Lewis is left-handed originally. Diggy can hear things I can only detect instrumentally, which is frankly remarkable, and I'd like to talk about it when the time is right. A pause. I held my questions. Mostly. The one about Diggy's perceptual framework was practical.
It was fine, Mike said.
I think they've been through something,
Terry said. Mike leaned against the wall. Yeah, he said.
I'm not going to ask about it,
Terry said.
I want you to know that's a conscious decision and not an oversight.
I know, Mike said.
I think it's the right call,
Terry said.
For now.
Mike went to bed. In the secondary cabin, Diggy was quiet and still in the way he was sometimes still, processing something at a frequency nobody else could hear. In a ship that felt like it had been somewhere and come back. In a corridor between way stations that stretched in both directions toward things that were getting closer, whether anyone was ready for them or not. The something underneath that wasn't mechanical, hummed at the edge of perception. Diggy noted it, filed it, went to sleep. Well, we did it. A new episode finally exists, and now that the anticipation has passed, I'm experiencing that very specific kind of calm where you suddenly become aware of every poor decision that brought you here. Was it worth the wait? Don't answer that immediately. Drink some water, stare at the ceiling, let your nervous system settle. Still, there it is. Chapter 8, completed, released, and no longer hanging over us like an overdue medical bill. I suppose I should congratulate the so-called author. He returned to work, produced an episode, and managed not to break any additional load-bearing bones. Progress. I'm Glenn. This was Impossible VHS. Try not to disappear before next Sunday.